The ultimate compliment is kind of right here what Logan says. I don't know if I can handle today without this show. That's kind of awesome. I really appreciate that, Logan. Thank you so much for tuning in, everybody. Happy Thursday to everybody. Welcome to the Southside Beat. My name is Chris Halicke. Joining me will not be, that does not make any sense. Corey Christen will not be joining me today. He is once again covering practice at Acrisure Stadium. That kind of makes everything a little bit difficult to do this show, even from a remote standpoint. They kind of, look, I can't pretend to know what's going on over there, what it's like to try to cover practice over there. It's definitely different. I know that for sure. So it's, I know they're also taking shuttles like to and from the South Side, to cover practice over there. So it's just logistically too difficult. So running solo again today. So, hey, once again, it's an opportunity for you guys to step in and to, do live cues, and, we'll come up with some good conversation, I'm sure. But wanted to kind of start it off. We hit on this yesterday. Appreciate it, Mark. We kind of hit on this yesterday, but really wanted to kind of lead on this one today, because a lot of the talk on tomorrow's show will be more about this game coming up. Sunday, it's obviously a huge game. It's wild card, obviously that's playoffs now. So stakes get a lot higher. There are a lot of people now, who kind of wanted the Steelers to kind of, tank or whatever and try to get the best draft pick possible because, there's no way that they're going to try and win the Super Bowl. Well, they're in there now. They're in the playoffs now, so might as well just, go for it, and if anything, if they were somehow to pull off a win on Sunday, that would at least break the streak of seasons without a playoff win. So, which I think would call this a pretty successful season. But anyway, we'll hit a lot more on the game tomorrow. We'll also have a clearer picture of the shape that both teams are in terms of health. The good thing that we know in terms from that perspective is that Minkah was a full participant in practice yesterday, on Wednesday. So that's huge. He talked to the media today and, reassured them that, he's going to be playing, and that's obviously a really, really good sign. If you're going to be, without your best player in TJ Watt, at least, that's a pretty good, compensatory scenario going on where you get, arguably the best safety in football back in the lineup. And so that'll definitely help. Obviously, Minkah has a very different impact on the game than TJ does, but Minkah is still a great player. And so getting him back will surely help the Steelers. But this whole thing about TJ Watt, the disrespect and everything, I get questions about this quite a bit about, why Myles Garrett gets all the love, how people might look at this as like an anti-Steelers situation or anything like that. I honestly don't think it comes to like certain like alliances or somebody's just trying to do something to troll people. I think there might be a slight bit of truth to that, a little bit, but I really think this just comes down to pretty much two things. And the first thing is, and I really, really get this. Okay. So anybody who doesn't know, I used to cover baseball. I covered baseball for 2+ seasons as a beat reporter, covered the Rangers for 2+ seasons. And then even after I started working at DK Pittsburgh Sports, spent 2022, I covered 30-something games with the Pirates in 2022. So I have plenty of experience in covering baseball. And baseball is a sport. I can't think of a sport that is more analytically driven than baseball. Okay. And Bob honestly has a really good point here too. Says, who cares? Just a matter of opinions and clickbait BS, stats over feelings. I kind of agree with that, to a point. But I think the reason why we kind of go over this is because and this is the benefit of analytics, is that it can help quantify some things that the box score doesn't tell. Right. You can have a day, okay, I'll use a baseball example. You can have a day in which you go 3 for 4, or I'm sorry, I'll go the other way. You can have a day in which you went 0 for 4 from the plate, but if you had a hard line out to short and then you were robbed of a home run and then lined out to third base where you hit the ball 113 miles an hour, and then, your fourth at bat, you hit one to the right center gap and the center fielder happened to make some sort of phenomenal diving catch, you had a better day at the plate than what the box score says. It's not just terms of exit velocity and everything like that. You hit the ball really well. And on a lot of other days, at least one or two of those would have fallen for hits. Analytics helps cut through some of that stuff and helps better with player evaluation. And that, I think, is the whole goal of analytics. And I think where a lot of people swing and miss when it comes to this in terms of talking about TJ Watt, talking about Myles Garrett, talking about this kind of stuff, especially using Pro Football Focus, which can be a very helpful tool. I don't want to completely crap on PFF for this stuff. I don't like their grading system, but they do provide a lot of actual stats that you can use for analysis that have nothing to do with their grades. And Brian kind of says it here. He says analytics in football have to be taken with a grain of salt and go off of how the game is going sometimes. I agree with that. I wouldn't say take it with a grain of salt, but take it for what it is. Analytics, again, help cut through some of the stuff that the box score doesn't tell. If Myles Garrett is such a good edge rusher, how come he's so far behind in terms of sacks? Sorry, I have something literally flying in front of my face. It's crazy, like this little gnat or whatever. And analytics kind of helps show what a player does when he's not doing something that shows up on the stat sheet. And that is where I think the effort of something like Pro Football Focus is in the right spot. When you begin to use those stats, and I say subjective stats, like literally, and I don't have to say like, oh, it's my opinion that they're subjective. Go watch the award show on YouTube. It's on YouTube. Go watch the award show from Pro Football Focus in which they were talking about this stuff. They talked about Defensive Player of the Year. And when PFF Sam was talking about their grades and stuff like that, he used the word subjective multiple times. These are subjective analytics. And when something is subjective, it's kind of the same thing whenever like somebody's like coming at me saying, oh, well, you're anti-Kenny or you're anti-Mason. Whenever I'm doing my analysis, I'm like, no, I'm not taking sides on anything. I'm being as objective as possible so that you can trust my analysis of things. If I tell you that I have an agenda, then you have no reason to trust me. And if as soon as somebody says it's a subjective stat, you have no reason to trust them. And yeah, it's just, it's crazy to me that you can have these stats that are admittedly subjective by them and use them as the be all end all catch all of how to evaluate a player. At the end of the day, a pass rush win rate only tells so much. It's only a part of the story. It's only a part of who the player is. How often does that player actually get to the quarterback? How often does that player actually sack the quarterback? If he wins a lot of blocks, that's phenomenal. That's great. It just goes to show that he can be in the backfield a lot, and that is a valuable player. But that doesn't tell the whole story. And see, the thing is that today, I don't think I have to say anything. This is not just a sports thing. This goes into politics, religion, all the other hot button stuff. Everybody goes to extremes nowadays. You find one stat and it's everything for that player. Like, no, proper analysis should be the entire story. How does that player, and John Davis 08, kind of brings this up too. He says, how often do they double team? That's another part of it. How often are they double teamed? That's one sliver of the pie. Pass rush win rate. That's funny. That like, try to say that 5 times fast. That should be a slice of the pie. Actual stats that count in the box score, like sacks, like forced fumbles, like tackles for loss, all this kind of stuff. That also should be a sliver of the pie and use all of that to evaluate. And if you do that, I actually can make a better argument for somebody like Micah Parsons over Myles Garrett. And so Chris Lynn says Mowage. That's awesome, man. Like, for real. That's like one of my favorite movies of all time. Like, for real. I love that movie so much. It's let's see. Joshua Thomas asked, does PFF track the hold rate? I honestly don't know. I haven't looked into it that much. I honestly don't know. And honestly, I don't know if I trust it, to be completely honest. I think I'd rather trust something like, and NFL Next Gen Stats would never come out with this because it's, from the league, and it's pretty much admitting when referees are wrong about not throwing a flag. So I don't think they would do that, but I would trust something like Next Gen Stats over that if they were to have something like that. What I do know, and when it comes to all of those edge rushers being held, I know that the player who is at the biggest disadvantage when it comes to that is Micah Parsons. That dude literally never gets a holding call. And when I say literally, when a lot of people say literally nowadays, they go they're oh, well, literally I kind of had, like, no, it's not literally, you're using it incorrectly. No, I can actually say that guy literally never gets a holding call against him ever. And that is, at least Watt kind of gets one every 4 or 5 games. Yeah, Bob says Parsons is being held right now. Probably is. Dude gets held all the time and literally never gets it called ever. All of these edge rushers get called and that gets held. And that's why I said yesterday, I'd like to see the league like really enforce that, make those tackles pay for whenever they hold those guys, because then we kind of get to see the cream of the crop there. Who really does get held the most? Who really does, get to the quarterback the most, despite all the holds and stuff like that? Like, I would really love to see that. The league would never do it because, it's too much of an offensive league. But let's see. Darren says something he said the Steelers fan base is so loyal that we become the perfect clickbait community to troll. We equal money. I mean, yeah, that's kind of part of it too. And listen, like, I think every fan base does that to a point. I don't want to just put the Steelers fan base on that. Just the Steelers fan base makes more noise than most because, number one, the Steelers are one of the biggest franchises in all sports. And then to go on top of it, the Steelers fan base is pretty rabid to go along with it. And so, yeah, it's I think every fan base is guilty of it. When they have a player that's in the running for a certain award, whether it be MVP, Offensive Player of the Year, Defensive Player of the Year, whatever, they're going to use whatever stats possible and try to, paint the picture and say, this is why this player gets to win or should win. And, and that can be, from whatever perspective you want. The thing is with Steelers fans and TJ Watt is that TJ Watt is, leading in every stat that is counted in the box score, in the numbers that actually matter in the game, regardless of how the sack transpired, regardless of how the fumble was recovered. Chris said, Chris just calls rabid. Dude, do I have to go back and play all the Matt Canada firing chants? Come on, man. I call it like I see it. I have never seen an assistant coach, not a head coach, an assistant coach get that much vitriol from a fan base. That is, it's, I call it like I see it, man. Swan says, yes, please replay them and see it. Like that's, I mean, to me, it is what it is, man. Like, I'm like, fans are going to be fans and that's fine. Yes, I would say Steelers fans are passionate for sure. They are definitely passionate. When you get to the point of like, Bob says, I want Canada to get fired again. Logan is at least honest about it. We are definitely out of pocket. Listen, yeah. Mike in Texas says that wasn't rabid. That was called common sense and passion. Listen, again, when it gets to a point, at the end, I'm looking at this from the perspective of like, listen, at the end of the day, it's still a game. It's a game. I try to think about Rick. Everybody have the Nintendo Wii from back in the day, saying Raving Rabbids. Raving Rabbids was a great game. We used to play that game. We used to have this thing at my church, like way back in the day, where we would have New Year's parties instead of going out and doing things to actually get like in a lot of trouble. We would host like parties at our church and everything that we play video games all night. And one of the things, somebody would bring a Nintendo Wii, and we played Raving Rabbids quite a bit. Chris Lynn said we've gone off the rails today. Yeah, kind of. I mean, to a point. But hey, listen, like I said something. I called the Steelers fans. I called the Steelers fan base rabid. I do think that is a generalization that's not fair, because not every fan is rabid. I think just as a whole, especially there, it went to a point I've never seen before. I grew up watching this team. I grew up into a fan. Both my parents are Steelers fans. Both of them were born and raised in the Pittsburgh area. I know very, very much about the Steelers culture and the Steelers nation and everything like that. So I understand how passionate the fan base is, how much they care. I've just never seen it get to that level, especially over a coordinator, not even the head coach. That just, to me, it was like, it got to a point like when there are like firing chants in Utah, I'm like, okay, this is starting to get a little ridiculous here. But I mean, that's just my perspective, and everybody, you can agree to disagree, and we can, believe it or not, in today's day and age, you can agree to disagree. And so I can disagree with that, and that's fine. Everybody can have their perspective. But yeah, Bob says, guys, we got Chris Solo here today. Dude mows and sews and still has the dinner done on time. That's funny, because I think I'm actually going to cook dinner tonight. So I don't know what I'm going to cook yet, though. I have a few different things that I like to go to. B. Phil says the chant at the Penguins game, that was something. Yeah, I mean, you're talking about something that's it's a completely different sport. At least it's in the same city, though. Yeah, when you go to Utah and you see that, and Hodge brings it up, I think Oregon game too, I believe, like you're going to a completely different part of the country, and it's still, yeah, it was getting crazy. So yeah, I just, Robert's enjoying the 70 degrees in Louisiana. I don't know what you guys are going to be getting. Coming up soon, but I know that North Texas is about to get some bad winter weather. We're going to be getting, I think for 2 days, we're not getting above 25 degrees. And for here, that's cold. And I think even the low gets down to the single digits a couple days. Swan says, cook buffalo chicken sandwiches. I actually had a buffalo chicken sub from Jersey Mike's for lunch today. So actually it was leftover from yesterday. I got the giant and I ate half of it last night, and I was like, holy crap, this is a lot of food. So I had the leftover today. So no, I won't be doing buffalo chicken sandwiches. I usually was thinking about, I make this, it's just a chicken and pasta dish, but I do a homemade garlic butter white wine sauce, and I cook it with some bell peppers and onions, and I let that kind of simmer in the sauce. After I make it, put some crushed red pepper in there for a little bit of spice. It's really good, man. Barber says no buffalo wings or buffalo sauce during the game. There's some people that have completely sworn off wings and buffalo sauce, like until the game's over. Like from the point that they were finding out the Steelers were playing the Bills, like they just completely swore them off. B. Phil mentioned something about Belichick. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. I was going to bring that up today. Jim says no politics. Don't worry, I won't be bringing up politics on here. Trust me. There's nothing worse about that'll get people going. And dude, people get crazy over sports, man. It gets even worse with politics. And then here's Pittsburgh Dottie saying Tomlin for president. Well, Swan says, we hear about Bella don't, I guess, from everywhere else. I need a rest. I'm not going to talk too much about Belichick. It's actually going to be, I didn't see in the chat somebody talking politics. Yeah, let's keep politics out of it, guys. Let's not talk politics. Sports are already people get worked up over sports enough, and it gets even worse with politics. Let's really not talk politics, guys. Sorry, definitely needed some Hawaiian punch there. Throat was getting dry. Let's see. Oh, John Goins. I'll get to the Belichick and Tomlin stuff here in a second. But John's got a question. He says, "How much will the Bills tight ends create issues for Pittsburgh?" Quite a bit, I think, especially Dalton Kincaid. That dude really scares me. I'm not taking anything away from Dawson Knox, but Kincaid, man, that dude has caught a lot of balls. Him and Josh Allen are definitely on the same page quite a bit. And if the Steelers do not properly account for Kincaid, man, they're going to get gashed. Gabe Davis will. I mean, he was the guy. Tara Lawson spoke on at Acrisure Stadium today, and he talked about Gabe Davis being a guy that gives him nightmares. And I could. Darren says that I see the 40 handicap. Yeah, I got this when I went to a game back in 2014. I think it was Steelers Chiefs back in 2014. I think it was. Yeah, it had to have been. Yeah, because that was the 40th anniversary of 1974. So yeah, there we go. Got that. So that cup is 10 years old there, buddy. I got a lot of sports cups. I got stuff from Steelers games, Pirates games, Penguins games, Rangers games, Mavericks games, Stars games. I got stuff from everywhere. So, yeah, and Joshua Dobbs says, yeah, Gabe Davis destroyed us last year. Yes, he destroyed the Steelers. That is somebody who can cause, obviously, a lot of problems, especially with the deep ball. But Kincaid is the guy who can really just, like, Gabe Davis will gash you for the 50-yard pass and the 40-yard pass and the deep throws that'll really get you. Yes, Darren, I am so easily sidetracked, so please don't point it out anymore. But no, and yes, Sticky B, Gabe is hurt. He did not practice yesterday, but that doesn't mean that he won't play. We obviously need to see what the practice report was today, or injury report is today, and then obviously tomorrow. So hopefully, we will get a clearer picture on that today, maybe. And obviously, for the Steelers' sake, it would be great if he didn't play. But Davis is a guy who can, gash you that way. But Kincaid can be the guy who, converts the 3rd and 4 and then gets, turns 2nd and 9 into 3rd and 1, and be that guy who just helps keep extending drives and keeps extending drives. And that's the guy who just, like, my God, just get this guy off the field, like, take him away. Like, that's the guy who can really just it's kind of like the thorn in your side. Just like, man, like, just get him out of here. Like, I think that guy, that's the kind of day that Kincaid can have if the Steelers don't properly account for him. And so that would be, that's like Kincaid will be a guy that brings up a really good point. We talked about this yesterday too. How well will they really, with 27-mile-an-hour winds and gusts up to 44? Listen, that will be very, very difficult. And especially when you're talking about, throwing the deep ball, that could be a big part of it too. And I think, honestly, that's why, like, Buffalo being a 10-point favorite right now is a little bit ridiculous. Because, yeah, if this were like clean weather, I think the Bills have a distinct advantage, really on both sides of the ball. But if this is a game in which both teams are required to kind of ground and pound a little bit more, this kind of tilts the scales back into the Steelers' favor. And again, we talked about that yesterday. We'll talk about it more tomorrow for sure, because, it'll be the last show before the game. So Darren Watt says, yeah, gotta get inside Josh Allen's head, need an early sack to get the happy feet going. Listen, this game is going to be, it's going to be difficult for both teams just because of those elements. And so it'll be, really, and honestly, I get sidetracked a lot because you guys are bringing up really good points, and I want to highlight those things. And Josh Dobbs says, the Bills play nickel more than 75% of the time, just below them with bigs. Yes, they do. I noticed that, and I'm been slowly piecing together my next opponent piece, which will be up on the site, I think, tomorrow. That will be something that I highlight. That they are in a nickel package. quite a bit. And even if you go to their depth chart just on their site, they list 4 defensive linemen, or like 2 interior, 2 edge, 2 linebackers, and then 3 corners and 2 safeties. So they don't even list like 3 linebackers or, you know, whatever else. They actually list a nickel defense as their base defense. So they that gives an opportunity for the Steelers to run the ball, and I'll get more into the details on that, why the Steelers should have success with that. And so, yeah, the elements could help, you know, tilt the scales back into the Steelers' favor, because then Gabe Davis doesn't become as much of a threat in the long passing game. You know, Dalton Kincaid it'll be a little bit easier to keep the lid on him and to keep him in front of the first down markers. So, yeah, I do want to highlight real quick. I'll take one more question real quick. And then I do want to highlight something on Belichick and Tomlin, because that was, you know, some pretty big news today from in terms of the football world. Chris Lynn asked, Chris, do you think, or who do you think needs to step up in this game? I'm thinking either Muth or Dan Moore. I wouldn't necessarily. I mean, Muth could have Freiermuth could have a pretty decent game. The Bills safeties, they're very, very good. Micah Hyde and Poyer, they're both very good safeties, but they can be exploited a little bit in the passing game. I'm not taking anything away from what they can do, but they can be exploited a little bit in the passing game. The Buffalo Bills corners worry me way more than their safeties in terms of pass coverage, in terms of what they can do in terms of taking away the pass. I think the middle of the field can be exploited a little bit, and that is where I think Freiermuth could become helpful. In terms of Dan Moore, I think it's just the offensive line in general, because if the offensive line, and somebody else asked earlier, like, who's my X factor? I think if the offensive line can have their way, especially when it comes to running the football, I think this really makes it a much, much more winnable game for the Steelers. Very, very much more, like a lot more winnable, because if they can run the football, that keeps Josh Allen on the sideline, and especially if they can finish drives, man, that'll be big. That'll be big for this team. So I do want to close here. We're down to a few minutes left. Bill Belichick, and the Patriots mutually agreed to part ways. I don't really want to touch on that. I mean, it is what it is. There's a lot of people who still won't have any respect for Belichick because of the Spygate stuff and Deflategate stuff and all that, and that's fine, But that makes Mike Tomlin the longest tenured head coach in the NFL, and there are a lot of Steelers fans that have varying opinions on Mike Tomlin. But I kind of wonder, how do people feel about that? How do people feel about Mike Tomlin still being here and continuing to do what he's done? Turning this season in which they had 3 different quarterbacks play, in which they dealt with a lot of injuries. Mick Fitzpatrick out for at least half the season. Cam Hayward out for at least half the season. Middle of the defense completely decimated by injuries. And then other things that I'm not even bringing into account. Oh yeah, firing his offensive coordinator in the middle of the season, and they still went 10-7, and also played in the toughest division in football, in which all 4 teams finished above 500. And they still went 10-7. I mean, that's not an accident, Is he without, criticism, or should he be without criticism? Absolutely not. The recent track record speaks for itself. When he's gone as long as he has without winning a playoff game, especially when the goal in Pittsburgh every single year is to win a Super Bowl, and you've gone as long as you have without winning a playoff game, and you've gone as long as you have without even getting to the Super Bowl, that criticism is absolutely valid. However, giving your team a chance every single year also can't be understated as well. This team probably doesn't deserve to be in the playoffs. And I think if a lot of other coaches are coaching this team, I don't think they're anywhere near the playoffs. I truly believe that. But I don't know. I mean, we'll see. I don't think Tom for the rumors and everything like that. Again, believe it when you see it, man. Like just because Adam Schefter reported it doesn't mean that that's what's happening. This could all be about his agent putting stuff out to try to get more money in an extension. That's all it could be. We had a couple of different people bring that up yesterday. I think even fans are starting to kind of see that. Don't believe something. Again, Mike Tomlin is a football junkie. I've never seen anybody love a game or at least love the game of football more than Mike Tomlin loves the sport. He loves it. And yeah, if you've ever seen Mike Tomlin, which obviously you can't because they're closed off, but if you've ever seen Mike Tomlin coach a practice, man, that's all you have to do. It's just watch him coach one practice. That dude loves football. He lives and breathes it every single day. Yeah, I don't think he's going to be. I don't think he's going anywhere. Even taking a season off or whatever, I don't think he's going anywhere. Pittsburgh Toddy says Thomas should be coach of the year. I think he should be at least maybe a nominee, maybe, if you consider everything that he's kind of gone through. But I also cannot. And again, this is just me calling it like I see it, because there comes people who don't like this, and that's fine. I think it should be honestly between DeMeco Ryans and Kevin Stefanski. Like DeMeco Ryans doing what he did in Houston. Nobody picture. I mean, improved team, sure. Playoff team winning the AFC South. I don't think anybody had Houston doing that. And Cat Manada says, yeah, Texans coach should be coach of the year. That's DeMeco Ryans. DeMeco, phenomenal job. Stefanski as well. And I know people don't want to give credit to the Browns, and I get it. I understand it. Like, you're loyal and everything like that. That's what I'm here for. I'll be the objective guy. Stefanski's done a phenomenal job. He's also dealt with a lot of injuries. Lost Nick Chubb, lost the starting right tackle. There's a couple of other. Lost Deshaun Watson. Not that Deshaun Watson's an amazing quarterback, but you still lose your starting quarterback. You got Joe Flacco off the couch, and all of a sudden he's playing like one of the best quarterbacks in the league. So I think Stefanski deserves recognition with that too. I think it's between those guys. And Hodge brings it up too. Rookie head coach and rookie quarterback, incredible. It is. And I think if I have a gun to my head and have to choose between those two guys, I think I would lean more toward DeMeco Ryans. But I really don't want to take anything away from what Stefanski's done, especially just because, like, listen, how often have we seen the Browns look like they're about to get better, and then they're really not. And then they look like they're about to get better, maybe even make the playoffs, and then they just kind of go back down to mediocrity. This is the most dangerous I've ever seen the Browns be. Like, more dangerous than whenever it was Derek Anderson in the 2002 playoffs when the Steelers made the big-time comeback and Renegade was born. This is more dangerous than when Baker Mayfield upset the Steelers in 2020. This is a more dangerous football team. This is the most dangerous Browns team I've seen. And it's kind of interesting that they're playing that the Browns and Texans are playing each other in the first round. I think that's going to be a good game, honestly. I'll be looking forward to watching that one. But all right. We've gone a few minutes over time. So just, interesting, now that the Belichick's gone, Mike Tomlin is now the longest tenured head coach in the NFL. He'll try to right one of those wrongs, in terms of the criticism against him, in terms of how long he's gone without winning a playoff game. He'll have an opportunity to fix that in just a few days. So that'll be, that'll be interesting. That'll be interesting to see if that happens. We'll talk a lot more about the game tomorrow. Hopefully Corey will be able to be here. Obviously don't know what the team is going to be doing in terms of practice. If they're going to go practice at the stadium again, they usually practice earlier on Fridays. So maybe even if they still do practice at the stadium, Corey will be able to join us. Hopefully he can, cause obviously, it's fun whenever, it's all of us, it's me, Corey, and all you guys. But thank you guys so much. And if I get sidetracked at all, it's honestly just because you guys are coming in with awesome comments, and I want to highlight as many as I can. There's no way I could go through all of them and get them all up on the screen, and respond to them. But yeah, I I really appreciate you guys coming in. You guys are awesome co-hosts, like for sure. Yeah, thank you guys so much. So, gonna go ahead and wrap it up. Hopefully, Corey will be here tomorrow. We will talk at length about this game. Definitely wanted to highlight the stuff on TJ Watt because that is, it's gonna be something that you have to prepare for until that award is announced. And even after the award is announced, especially if it's not TJ Watt, it's going to continue to get conversation. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. Wanted to highlight that today. Definitely wanted to talk about Tomlin being the longest tenured coach now that Belichick's out of New England. So thank you guys so much. Appreciate it. Every like, every subscribe, every view, every share helps grow this channel, grow this show. Thank you guys so much. Love you guys. Really, really mean that. Chrislyn says milk carton Corey. Hopefully Corey will be here tomorrow, but really appreciate everything that he's done. And make sure to check out everything that he's putting in the Steelers feed from the Acrisure Stadium because it's all going to be there. So appreciate you guys. Thank you so much. Enjoy the day. Prepare for the weather coming up this weekend. I don't know how bad it's going to be in Pittsburgh, but there's going to be winter weather hitting all throughout the country, or at least throughout significant portions of the country. So please be safe, be careful. Love you guys. To quote the great Michael Scott, catch you guys on the flippity flip.